What did Matthew Liberatore do to stay relaxed before he went out and threw his best outing of the season to beat the Phillies? And what change did Willson Contreras make to snap out of his funk? We've got the answers for you today on Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I am your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on X at JD Sports Radio and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Hit that notification button so you don't miss any new episodes or any of the shorts we put out there for you. Also available on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. This right here is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. You can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I got the ugly shirt on. Yeah. You know, you could probably count on one hand how many people actually thought that the Cardinals would not only win the series against the Phillies, but that Matthew Liberatore would be the guy to beat Zach Wheeler to do it. There couldn't have been a whole lot of people outside the Cardinals clubhouse and, I don't know, probably Libby's family members that believed it could or would happen. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to happen, but that's exactly what we got on Sunday when the lefty won his first game of the season, not just by throwing okay and, you know, the offense bailing him out and outscoring the other team, but dominating one of the best lineups in Major League Baseball. Libby tosses 6 shutout innings. He allows just 3 hits. He walks 1. He strikes out 7 to move to 1-1 on the year. And not only does he beat the Phillies, but he beats Zach Wheeler in the process, regarded as one of the best right-handed pitchers in all of baseball. Beat him today, fair and square. And, you know, you would think that ahead of a game like this, a guy like Matthew Liberatore, who's young still, doesn't have a whole lot of starts under his belt, getting ready to face Bryce Harper, one of the best hitters in all of baseball. You got Trey Turner over there. You got Kyle Schwarbaums, Nick Castellanos, the Cardinal killer, and all these guys that are lined up on the other side for the Phillies that maybe Libby would be a little stressed, maybe a little anxious. Who could blame him, right? Couldn't be further from the truth. According to John Denton, who covers the Cardinals for MLB.com, to get loose before the game, Matthew Liberatore played a spirited series of ping pong with reliever and friend Ryan Fernandez. Kept it loose. Apparently that's part of his normal routine. Did that today before taking the field. Personally, I think that's awesome. I really do. Because whatever is going to relax you, whether it's listening to music, maybe you're playing chess, maybe it's something else, reading a book, whatever it is that relaxes you and gets you in the right frame of mind, that's fine by me. I don't care what you do. I really don't. Some people might call it too relaxed and be like, oh, come on. No, I'm not supposed to be playing ping pong. He's got to focus. His eyes, his nose should be buried in, you know, scouting reports and coaching tips or whatever the hell else he gets. But every guy is different. Every guy is different in how they prepare. And whatever Libby did besides the ping pong, it worked. And it worked well. We've seen glimpses of his potential as a starter on a couple of occasions, but what he was able to accomplish on Sunday against a quality of an opponent like the Philadelphia Phillies, it's got to make the front office and Ollie and Dusty Blake and company, they all got to feel pretty darn good for the decision that they made at the end of spring training. You know, ever since the trade that brought Libby over to the Cardinals and sent Randy Arozarena to the Tampa Bay Rays, you know, Libby has been under a lot of pressure and a lot of scrutiny. Some of that because, yeah, he's a former first-round pick, but mostly because of what Arozarena did when he went to Tampa Bay, where he just, whoosh, goes into superstardom mode. As soon as he gets to Tampa Bay, goes off, becomes one of the star players in the league for a couple of years. And over here in St. Louis, Cardinals patiently waiting, trying to develop the young left-hander. And it seems like he's been around forever now, right? It seems like he's been around for like a decade. He's still only 25 years old, has dealt with that famous Cardinals yo-yo decision-making that we like to make fun of a little bit on this show about being a starter and a reliever and a starter and a reliever. What are you? We don't know what to do with you, that they've done to a couple of pitchers now. And it came as a shock, at least to me, this spring. Now, we knew that he had mentioned that he stretched out. He was planning on being a starter, prepared like he was going to be a starter coming into the year. But we saw how good he was as a reliever. And it came as a shock to me, at least in the spring, when it was announced that he would be the number 5 starter in the rotation. And that was announced in the last week of training camp, when he only had training camp. I shouldn't say that's more of a football term, but in spring training, when he had only one start in all of spring training. It's not like they were starting him a lot. They were bringing him in out of the bullpen. And he'd become a pretty darn good weapon in the bullpen. You know, a left-hander with strikeout stuff. Really good against lefties out of the pen last year. But the Cardinals, they put their nuts on the table and said, you know what? We believe in this guy as a starter, and that is what he is going to be. They actually picked a lane, which is something new, right? And in the long run, he's definitely worth more as a starter to the franchise than you would be as a reliever if things pan out. And over the last 10 1/3 innings, he's been outstanding. Early on in his last start against Pittsburgh, not great, right? Gave up 4 runs in those first 2 innings. Right-handers were smacking him around the ballpark, which has been the big problem for Libby. Great against lefties, can't get righties out. That's been the struggle. That's the thing that he's working on so he can become a competent starter. Because if you can't get the right-handers out, there's no point in making you a starter, because every lineup's just going to be full of right-handers and they're going to kill you. But since that point, since those first 2 innings in Pittsburgh, he settled in that game and gave up 3 hits, struck out 6 before leaving in the 7th inning. There was a runner on already, and he eventually came around to score, so that did count against Libby. So that's 1 run, but only 1 run over those final few innings in Pittsburgh. Then on Sunday, 6 shutout innings, strikes out 7 more. He walks 1. The walk is significant because it's the only guy that Matthew Liberatore has walked this year. That was the first one. So in the last 10 1/3 innings, if you go back to what he did in Pittsburgh after those first 2 innings, and then you count what he did against the Phillies on Sunday, he's allowed 1 run on 6 hits. He has struck out 13 and has 1 walk. That's getting it done. That's getting it done, boys and girls. And on the season, he's now 1-1. The ERA 3.93. The WHIP 0.98. Outstanding. 18 punchies in 18 1/3 innings. He's progressing. He's been almost unhittable if you're a left-hander. But it's the righties that, as I mentioned, usually give him trouble. And on Sunday, 2 of the 3 hits he gave up were to right-handed hitters. And it was early on. It was Real Muto and Sosa in the 2nd inning. And you're like, oh, boy. Here come the right-handers, right? Bryce Harper singled in the 3rd inning as well. But that was it. He locked it down. He shut it down. And he was getting guys on a variety of pitches. It wasn't like he was leaning on one certain pitch to get people out. I mean, he used everything. Had all the tools going. Four-seamer, changeup, slider. He was in his bag. The question now, when it comes to Liberatore, is can he replicate it moving forward? We'll find out. But you got to be happy with it. You got to be encouraged by it. And hopefully this is a decision that ends up working out for the Cardinals. It would be great. Because now we're going to get into those stretch of games, right, where we're going to go to a 6-man rotation. Matz is going to scooch up and be a part of the rotation. And to have somebody as good as Libby looked on Sunday, to have that guy going is obviously a plus for the Cardinals. Now, the offense also came back to life on Sunday, led by Willson Contreras, who made a certain change this weekend, specifically on Saturday, and has seen a lot of success since it happened. So we're going to talk about that next on Locked On Cardinals. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. And that's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Now, Just Ingredients offers you an NSF-certified line of protein powder, which is great for building muscle. They get you the electrolytes that you need, obviously, which is something that's very, very important when you're working out and you're sweating, especially if you're somebody that does a lot of cardio. Pre-workout, I am in love with their pre-workout. It's one of my favorite things. In fact, I find myself probably taking it a little too much because I enjoy the effects that it has on me. And then you've got the creatine, which is great as well for the muscle building, all rigorously tested to ensure that they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients is also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who the Cardinals just beat in the series, who does trust their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. One thing you'll appreciate is the clean and transparent ingredients that they use, and Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients, and they do it without all the artificial junk. So whether you're recovering after a workout or maybe you just need an energy boost to get you through the rest of your workday, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout delivers real results. I use it. You should too. I think you're going to dig it. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's going to get you 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. The struggles of Willson Contreras have been well documented, right? It's been rough. This is a guy who was tearing the cover off the ball in spring training where he was raking .405, I think was his final batting average in the spring. Had a couple of bombs. 6 RBIs, the OBP was like over 500. His OPS was through the roof. Like this spring, he looked incredible. He beefed up. Remember when we first saw him in spring training and we're like, oh my goodness, Willson put on some weight in the upper body. Not fat. He wasn't a fat guy. He worked out, added some muscle. Sky was the limit, right? And my hot take this spring was that Willie would be the best hitting first baseman in the NL Central this year. Best stats, make the All-Star team as a first baseman in his first year of playing that position exclusively at first. And since the start of the regular season, he has done hardly anything at the plate. Opposing pitchers just kept serving him a steady dose of breaking balls, breaking stuff over and over and over. And Willie was missing them like Pedro Serrano in Major League, man. But unlike Serrano, if you remember, who could crush the fastball, Contreras wasn't even doing that. He wasn't hitting the fastball or the straight ball, which Contreras hits very much, as Pedro liked to call it either. He was constantly guessing wrong. Anytime he thought it was going to be a fastball, breaking ball would come and he'd look awful. He's thinking breaking ball, they'd fastball, inner half. He can't even get the bat around because he's fooled. He was swinging through pitches. It was like there was a hole in his bat. Like it was rough. And people started getting really, really down on him. And part of that is because of where he was hitting. He was in the number 2 spot. And it just amplified the slump even more because it seemed like he was constantly coming up with runners on base in a position to make an impact on a game, because he was. And over and over and over, it wouldn't work. And essentially that spot of the order has been the black hole in the Cardinals lineup so far. Significantly less offensive production from the number 2 spot overall because Contreras has been there almost every game. And the Cardinals offense continued to roll though, right? And you just kept wondering, when is it going to happen? When is Willson Contreras finally going to break out? You knew it was going to happen. He's a veteran. He's had the stats. What does Brad Thompson always say? You look at the back of the baseball card, and he's going to be good. He's going to get to those numbers eventually. So we just kept waiting. When is that going to happen? When's he going to start punishing the ball a little bit more? And you kept looking at what the Cardinals offense was doing and what they've accomplished so far. Like after Sunday's win, the Cardinals right now are second in the majors in batting average. They're first in on-base percentage. They're fourth in slugging, second in OPS. They're fourth in ribbies, third in runs scored. Like right now, it's an elite offense overall. And if I told you the team would be as high as they are in the rankings among offensive stats, and that Willson Contreras would be hitting 102 coming into the series against Philly with just 3 RBIs and no home runs, you would call me a liar straight to my face. And it's shocking numbers after the spring that he had. Like, you're like, what? How did it go? Just boop. How did it go so bad? How did it just nosedive? And it's just part of the game of baseball, man. Ollie gives him off Friday night. Like, doesn't have him. He gets the day off Thursday, obviously, because we didn't have a game. And then he gives him off Friday night against Aaron Nola. Saturday, he's back in the lineup. They had him batting third against the left-hander Sanchez. But other than moving him from number 2 to number 3, and then on Sunday, he was in the number 5 hole, something else changed as well. Willson Contreras got himself a brand new batch of the famous torpedo bats and started using those on Saturday instead of his normal lumber. And the results speak for themselves. My guy is 4 for 8 with 2 doubles and his first home run of the year in Sunday's game off Wheeler to put the Cardinals ahead by a score of 2-0 and ended up being the game-winning RBIs. 4 for 8. Willson spoke with the media after the game on Sunday and said that he thinks it's more mental than anything else when it comes to changing his bats. He said he tried them in the spring, but he wasn't a big fan. He swung them as like, I don't really like the feel of these. So he went back to his usual ones, but says he's a fan now. Funny how that works out when you go 4 for 8, right? Got some results finally this weekend. And every player, they're going to go through these up and downs. Okay, we know this. It's baseball. It happens, peaks and valleys over and over during the season. But everything is so magnified at the beginning of the year that slumps early on just seem a whole lot worse. Like, it seems like you're bringing the whole season's falling apart here in week 3 because you haven't been able to hit. And it's not that it wasn't a bad slump, because it was terrible. But if this was going on in June and July after his normal stats for the first couple of months, you really wouldn't even bat an eye at it. But right now, people are calling for your head in early April because they look at it as a trend of how your season is going to go. Like, has Willson Contreras hit a wall? Does he suck now? And is going to be terrible the rest of the year? What are we going to do? Move him down to 8th. You got to bench him. People get a little wacky. Now, I was all for moving him from the number 2 spot. Like, maybe just scooch him down a little bit, move him around a little bit, massage that lineup some just to kind of get him out of that particular spot, which Ali has done the last couple of days. But it was really nice. It was really nice to see him teeing off over the last couple of days and obviously hitting that line shot against Wheeler, 2-run jack in the bottom of the 4th, turning on a 3-1 fastball. The bat speed's always been there. But he turns on that sucker, rips it over the wall in left field. It was a beautiful thing to watch. I was actually in the tax office. I was doing my taxes today when that happened. And I was like, yes! And then I looked at what Uncle Sam was doing to me. I was like, no! Uncle Sam sucks, man. Can't believe what they do to us in taxes. But anyway, I was happy for Contreras. That brought some joy to my life on a Sunday. We also got a big day from Jordan Walker, who also had been scuffling a bit. It was 3 for his last 21 coming into Sunday, but he goes 2 for 4, hits his second dinger of the year in the 8th inning. That was a 2-run shot that made it 7-0 and put the game away. Jordan Walker hitting the ball hard and line drives and seeing him go over a wall, always going to bring a smile to my face. Derek Gould at the Post-Dispatch actually did a nice little write-up on the improvements because everybody's always focused on Jordan Walker's offense, but he was like, but what about the defense? Like, have we noticed that Jordan Walker hasn't been a liability in right field? In fact, so far this season, he's a +2 defensive run saved right fielder. And the Cardinals as a team are 4th in the league overall at a +8 DRS, and they're tied for 1st with their next opponent, the Houston Astros, and outs above average at 8. So kudos to what John Jay has been doing with Jordan Walker in right field. He's looked a lot better. I know there's been some criticism of him making easier plays look a little more difficult, but he makes the plays, and hopefully they'll become easier as time goes on. But, kudos to the kid for improving, because we know how it was when he first came up and started playing right field, and you're like, oh my gosh, right field is the moon to this guy. The Cardinals end up hitting 4 doubles in the game against the Phillies on Sunday. Brendan Donovan, Nolan Arenado, Nolan Gorman, Joel Pozo, everybody's favorite new catcher. Donnie, Nato, and Gorman's doubles all came in that sixth inning when the Cardinals stretched the lead to 4-0. And although Gorman's wasn't like the normal line drive double into the gap or down the line or something like that, he just kind of dinked it in and it found grass. But it was good to see him not only on the field and contributing, but smiling. Like when he hit the double, he was at double and he did his little birdie thing. Like he was smiling, which is something new. You didn't see a lot of that from Nolan Gorman over the first couple years. So it's good to see him happy to be back on the ball field and playing with the Cardinals at the major league level and contributing after being on the IL. Mason Wynn going on the shelf with the back issue this weekend gives the Cardinals a chance to use JC, obviously at shortstop. He's hitting 400 something since being brought up. You saw Donovan at shortstop today, so that might be something they employ a little bit against right-handers. But you might see Gorman in the lineup a little bit more at second base and of course, at DH. So it's good to see Gorman back. 7-0 winners and 2 shutouts over the Phillies. That's something right there. And it's been a long time since the Cardinals have had 2 shutouts over the Phillies in the same series, like a long time since that's happened. I'm going to tell you about that and some other fun facts here in just a bit. Plus, we'll talk about the Cardinals' next opponent, the Houston Astros, who are coming to town. That's next on Locked On Cardinals. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and you place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You're going to love how FanDuel makes betting so easy. That's what I like about it. I don't need the complications when I'm trying to have some fun by betting. I want it to be simple and easy and transparent of what I'm doing. So FanDuel makes it very, very easy to do, whether it's picking your favorite team or their opposition to do that reverse psychology thing. Might have done that against the Phillies today, just saying. Or you can make things really interesting by diving into those player props for buckets, 3-pointers, steals, assists. They got it all for you. FanDuel's got a lot of ways for you to bet on your favorite player props. I like going with guys when I do player props. I like going with guys who can do a little bit of everything. I had my dude Nikola Jokic this year, rode him in fantasy basketball, rode him to the championship, although we missed the whole final week during my fantasy basketball championship, but I still won. But you got a lot of stars to choose from. If you don't like Jokic, which is weird because he's awesome, you can go LeBron and Luka in LA. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City. St. Louis's Jason Tatum doing his thing in Boston. Anthony Edwards in Minnesota is a good one. Giannis in Milwaukee is a great one. Jalen Green in Houston. Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland. There's so many to choose from. Plus, after the games tip off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win even bigger. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com, claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball. It's a podcast with our hosts Dominic and Matthew, who are going to help you out for the entire MLB season. Waivers, drops, who to start, who to drop, or who to bench. Like they cover all of it. They're going to talk about sleepers. They're going to talk about guys that you should be picking up on waivers that nobody knows about just yet, but they think are going to pop off in the near future. They're going to help you win your league. That's the point. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. All right, so the Cardinals haven't shut out the Phillies twice in a series in a very long time. The last time it happened was the same year that the Nintendo 64 came out, which I don't think I ever had one of those. The Spice Girls were the new it thing in pop music. Obviously, you know who that is. Girls were swooning at the sight of Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack Dawson in the movie Titanic, and my Green Bay Packers beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. What year was it? Anybody? 1997 was the last time the Cardinals shut out the Phillies twice in the same series. 28 years ago. That's a long time, brother. Some more cool facts from Rob Rains at STLSportsPage.com. Contreras' homer snapped the streak of 157 at-bats by the Cardinals without a home run. They've got 18 on the year now, so it's not like they're one of the lower people on the totem pole in home runs. They're actually pretty good. So the fact that they win 157 at bats without one is a little bit shocking. The Phillies did not hit a home run in the series. That's shocking. And the Cardinals have not allowed a home run in the opponent's last 154 at bats. So it's hard to complain about what we've seen from the pitching, at least in this last stretch. Boston was, oh, baby. But since then, not so bad. That first game against the Pirates sucked, obviously. But outside of that, man, things have been good. The Phillies only had a combined 14 hits in the series, their fewest in a 3-game series against the Cardinals since 1982. What happened in that year? Yeah, that's right. Cardinals won the World Series, beating the Brewers. Back when the Brewers were an American League team, for those of you who remember. This was the third time in the last turn through the rotation that the Cardinals starter did not allow a run. Overall, in the last turn through the rotation, the 5 starters combined allowed just 4 runs in 29 innings. That's a 1.24 ERA. Yeah, you'll take that. You'll take that. The win moved them to 7-8 on the season, but they are 6-3 at home. And there was an announced attendance, which I was happy to see. Now, it wasn't a sellout by any means. I get it. The announced attendance, 32,000. I think it's 32.5 at the ballpark on Sunday, somewhere around then. They had 32 on Friday. They had over 30 on Saturday. Again, this is sold attendance. Obviously, there were not that many people there. Not all of those tickets sold had butts in their seats, but despite the 7-8 record, in my opinion, this team has been very entertaining. You get your butt kicked on that Sunday night game in Boston, right? You lose the 1 game in extra innings. That was tough. But most of the time, these guys have been right in it. They're 0-4 in extra innings. Like I said before, like you split those, like you're looking at a totally different record here. And you're like, hey, these guys aren't that bad. So I hope that they continue to be an entertaining team to watch, and that more fans continue to come out to the ballpark to watch them, support them. It's a younger team outside of the rotation. It's a younger team. And, it'd be nice to let these guys see what Cardinal baseball is all about in St. Louis. And if you choose not to come, that's your prerogative. I get it. I'm not shaming you for not going, but I've found it a pretty entertaining brand of baseball so far. So they're getting my money. I'm coming to the ball games. The Astros are at Busch next for a 3-game series that begins on Monday night. The Astros are also 7-8 to start the year. They're coming off a 7-3 win over the Angels. They took 2 of 3 from LA in that series. You've got a normal name at the top of their offensive stats in Jose Altuve. Left fielder Jose Altuve. We saw that in spring training. It has not worked out very well for him. He is a -6 DRS right now, which is second worst in baseball behind O'Neal Cruz of the Pirates in center field. So if the Cardinals are going to hit the ball somewhere, hit it to left field. Hit it at Altuve, please. Chances are good he's not going to field it. Offensively, though, Altuve is still the same guy that you've known for years. 302, 3 home runs, 7 ribbies. Isaac Paredes, who they got from the Cubs in that Kyle Tucker deal, he's got 3 home runs. He's tied for the team lead in RBIs with Yordan Alvarez, who's got 9. Alvarez only got 1 home run so far this season, which is a little scary because that means he's due. So let's try to keep it that way. I'm talking to you, Sonny Gray, who likes to give up bombs left and right. New first baseman Christian Walker off to a slow start after the oblique injury in spring training. 2 for his last 19. The pitching matchups, let's be honest, they favor the Astros. You've got their ace Framber Valdez against Sonny Gray in Game 1 on Monday night. Valdez is a 2-time All-Star. He won 15 games last year. He's looked great in 2 of his 3 starts so far this year against the Mets and Mariners. He was great. Giants touched him up in his second start, 5 runs, hit 2 home runs off him. He walked 4 in that game. So hopefully we get that Framber Valdez. Tuesday night, you're going to have their excellent young right-hander Hunter Brown against Eric Fetty, who just is coming off throwing 6 no-hit innings against the Pirates. But Hunter Brown's very good. Wednesday's day game, Andre Palante already penciled in for the Cardinals. Houston is yet to name their starter. So certainly not an easy forecast when it comes to who the Cardinals are going to face on the mound for the Astros in those first 2 games. They're both quite good in Valdez and Brown. But, the Cardinals just beat Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. So that's why they play the games, because you just never know. Confidence is high heading into the series. I hope they continue to do what they've been doing. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give me a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. TikTok, it's at Locked On Cardinals, as well as on Instagram. Put those shorts out on TikTok and on YouTube. So if you haven't seen those yet, make sure you go look at them. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans of baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.